Good day. In behalf of my co-researcher, Ma'am Myralyn Bergunio, our EPS in MAPE, and Sir Raul Almonia, Teacher 3 of Tansa Comprehensive National High School. My name is Lowiesito o Erni, Master Teacher 1 of Cavite City Science National High School, and I am here to present to you our study entitled Personal Experience and Challenges Encountered by Physical Education Senior High School Teachers as Learning Developer, Basis for Support Program. A book is always believed that the main source of information. From the first stage of life as a learner, book is always considered as the main tool for learning. The importance of reading materials is always on the top of the list as far as learning is concerned. These are the questions that need to be answered. What are we going to do if there is a time where books are not easy to access nor available to use? How learning can be transferred to learners? This study sought to answer the following questions. What are the teachers' experiences as learning resource developers in terms of the following development process? Needs assessment and analysis, determining goals and objectives, conceptualizing content, selecting and developing materials and activities, organizing content and activities, evaluation, consideration of resources and constraints. And second question is, what teacher support program can be proposed to help teachers in developing learning materials for emergency distance learning as means of continuous professional development? Most countries around the world have temporarily closed educational institutions as to contain the spread of the virus and reduce infections, and that is according to TRIA on 2020. Face-to-face engagement of students and teachers within the school has also been suspended. The Philippines is in the process of adapting to the new normal form of education at present, and continuous innovations of educators and active involvement of other stakeholders are the driving force for its success. Nepomuceno, cited by Balderas in 2016, described the modules in the following on a distinctive, identifiable skills or set of skills or outcomes other than skills. It is short so as to make students use their study time efficiently. It is essentially self-teaching even though it may encourage group work. Descriptive analysis were used to determine the demographic profile of the respondents and teachers' experiences as learning resource developer. Weighted mean was used. And from this study, we gathered these findings. Needs analysis and assessment, the weighted mean is 4.52 is extremely considered. In determining goals and objectives, the weighted mean is 4.46 to a great extent. In conceptualizing content, the weighted mean is 4.53 as to a very great extent. In selecting and developing materials and activities, the weighted mean is 4.57 to a very great extent. In organizing content and activities, the weighted mean is 4.51 as I strongly agree. In evaluation, the weighted mean is 4.64, which is equivalent to a very great extent. In consideration of resources and constraints, the weighted mean is 4.56, which falls under strongly agree. Based on the findings of the study, the following conclusions were drawn. That in terms of needs analysis of materials and development, varied learning styles must take into considered in developing learning materials. That the determining goals and objectives in materials development were found to be great extent. Identifying the learning needs in developing a learning materials must take into considerations. That the conceptualizing content in materials development, selecting and developing materials and activities, determining organizing content and activities, and in terms of evaluations were found to be in a very great extent. Learners, developers also considered outlining, layouting, the subject content through grids, graphic organizers, etc. so that they categorize them and were able to identify. that in terms of consideration of resources and constraints were found to be strongly agreed. Learning developers use available and feasible resources in order to develop the concrete reading materials. The organizing content and activities were found to be to a very great extent. The learner developer were able to build materials from simple to complex. Evaluation was found to be a very great extent. Learning developers ensured that the assessment activities were aligned with the subject objectives. Consideration of resources and constraints were found to be strongly agreed that the materials needed for the development of the learning materials can be accessed via internet and some other sources. For the implications of this study, great experience for every teacher developer of learning material to contribute with the continuous learning development and progress of every learner amidst of the pandemic. Based on the findings presented, the following recommendations are suggested. The teacher-writer-developer should continue developing learning materials for the continuous progress of the teacher's skills and capabilities in terms of conceptualizing and contextualizing ideas into presentation and application of the lesson. The teacher-developer should continue himself or herself in professional program that would help him or her for the continuous professional development of their skills in developing a creative and substantial learning materials that can be utilized by every learner that is applicable for distance learning. The teacher-developer should continue to engage and participate in different activities and training that would help to enhance writing skills. The division should provide trainings that would help every learning developer to be well equipped in terms of module development and writings. And for this study, these are our references. Let me end my presentation by this simple quotation according to Philip E. Miguali. The hardships that I encountered in the past will help me succeed in the future. Thank you so much. God bless us all. Mabuhay po tayong lahat.